Hey, Callista. I am so sorry. There goes my camera again. I don't know why it does that. I'll have to see if I can fix it right quick. But it's not going to let me. It doesn't look like. I'm sorry. My camera's going to go woo and it's going to zoom in and out. It does it sometimes. So sorry. Okay, so we're going to do lesson 2.5 today. So in your math book, you're going to be on pages 56, 57, and 58. It's section 2.5. Really, it's a really easy lesson. I'm so sorry, my camera keeps doing that. I'm gonna have to fix it. Okay, so let's look at section 2.5 on page 56. All right, we saw in section 2.3 how our current addition and subtraction method helps us describe place value and keeps track of digits so we can add and subtract with less effort. To better understand our method, we also explored how addition and subtraction could be done on an abacus, which uses beads to accomplish the same task. Fun? Nah. Interesting? Will I do it again? Nah. Since history helps us really understand concepts and view them as tools, let's now take a broader look at some historical addition and subtraction methods. Now, you're going to say, why in the world am I learning this? I don't know. It's in the book. You'll never use it. But it's a good way to expand your thoughts on math. That's what we're doing. All right, so we're going to look at this first guy. His name, he's from India, was from India. Bhaskara, I'm guessing. It kind of sounds like mascara, but Bhaskara, I guess that's how you say it. I don't know. So this method is attributed to Bhaskara II, a mathematician from India. All right, and there's a box at the bottom of page 56, and it shows our traditional method of subtraction, of addition, and then it shows Bhaskara's method of addition. And this method, what he does is he takes the numbers in the ones, which is what we do, but he lines them up horizontally, whereas we do them generally vertically. Pardon me. And then he writes the answers there. Now on the tens, he takes 1 plus 1, but the answer is 20 because he knows that it's 110 plus 110 equals 20. And then he adds those together and he gets 31. Okay, that's one method. Now that's an addition method. Now let's look at the next page. Now this took me a minute to understand. I really had to kind of look at this. Okay, so this guy's name was Leonardo Pisano. I've heard of him before, but I thought he was an explorer. So that tells you what I know about him. Okay, so we're going to look at the top of this page. It says in Liber Abaci, circa 1202, a book that was instrumental in bringing the decimal system to Europe, Leonardo Pisano took a slightly different approach. He was probably one of the first men or people to ever use his fingers, and I'll show you that in a minute. So rather than crossing out a number in a column, you know how we borrow or rename? Well, he didn't actually do it that way. He did it mentally, but he used his fingers to help him remember that he did it. So basically, rather than reading all of this, I'm just going to kind of show you what he did. So look at the example right in the middle of the page. It says 21 minus 14. Traditionally, what we do is we rename. You say, well, I can't take 4 from 1, so I'm going to borrow one of the 10s or rename that one as 110, give it to that, make it 11. 11 minus 4 is 7. 1 minus 1 is 0. Ta-da! We're done. Okay, so Leonardo's method goes something like this. To solve 21 minus 14, write the two numbers to be subtracted, on top of each other, just like we would do it. Now, since 1 is less than 4, mentally, in your mind, you wouldn't cross anything out. You're mentally move 10 from the tens column and give it to the ones and make it 11 minus 4. And then up above it, you would put 7. Now, to remember that you took 10 from that tens place, you would bend your left hand little finger. I can't do mine very well. That's what he... Let's see. We do it this way. I can't do mine. Something to this effect. So that would make him remember what he had done. And so once he finished that, he'd go, oh yeah, I took one. And so then what he would do, it says that he would look at the tens column and he'd go, well, he'd say, rather than take 1 from the 2, he would add that 1 that he had taken to that 1 in the tens place, and it would become a 2. which if you look at it, it's 2 minus 2, which is 0. So your answer is still 7. Same way he did it. He did his that way. It's just kind of hard. I don't like to bend my finger like that. It's kind of weird. But anyway, that's what he did. There's a little bit more right here about him in this gray box. You don't have to know it. Obviously you can read it if you want to. But basically, I want you just to remember the Bhaskara method of addition. And I have, if you'll look at your worksheet, it's worksheet 2.5. It's on page 45 in your book. It's front and back. On number 1, there's an A and a B. Both of those want you to use the Bhaskara method of doing the addition. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get off the screen and I'm going to bring up A, the 20 plus 35, and I'm going to show you how he did it. You can copy it down and then you do B yourself. All right, so here we are. I'm sorry for the crude writing, but it's kind of hard to do with a mouse on the computer. Okay, so we have 20 plus 35, which is from 1A on your worksheet, 2.5. So we're going to do the Bhaskara method of addition. So what he did is he took both numbers from the ones place, which would be your 0 and your 5, and he added those up right here. So you get 0 plus 5 is 5. Okay. Then he took the numbers in the tens place, take your 2 and your 3, which remember, these are tens. So he'd take that 2 and put it here. Then he'd take this 3 and bring it down here. And he would add 2 plus 3 is 5. But remember, those are 10, so it's actually 50. And he would add it all up. And 20 plus 35 is 55. And that's how he got that. All right, so I hope that made sense. So you're going to do letter B on number 1, just like we did that one. And on part 2, just standard addition and subtraction, easy peasy. On number 3, time for time, you're just going to be reviewing time that we had reviewed a couple of lessons ago. You can look back, of course, if you want to. On C, it says review time zone flashcard. We didn't make a flashcard. We don't usually do that. But, I mean, if you did, wonderful, and you can use it. If not, that's okay, too. But all the things I think that you need are in the back of the teacher book, or you can make your own. All right, so turn the page to the back of 2.5. Now, I have not yet received the rest of one of your pages. I don't remember as of right now. But, so I'm not sure how you did on the keeping a checkbook register. So I kind of wanted to go over it with you just a little bit. I should have done it before, but I didn't. I guess I just assumed you knew it. And you may. I'm not saying you don't. But anyway, on the checkbook thing, so when you have a beginning balance, that means that you've just opened a brand new account, and that's the balance that you have in there, okay? Now, and then you're going to put, anytime you spend something, you're obviously going to want to write the check number if it was a check, and then you'll write the date. In the memo, you can put anything you want. But generally, if we write a check, you write who you wrote the check to. If it was a payment you used with a debit card, you'll put, Walmart or Family Dollar or whatever, whatever you spent it on, you'd put it right there. Now, if it was a payment amount, that means that you paid it out to somewhere or to someone, and you would put it in the payment amount section. Now, if you'll notice, payment amount and deposit amount and balance, each one of those have 2 sections, a bigger section and then a smaller section next to it. The smaller section next to it, that is for if you have cents or change. So like if you had $1.45, you'd put 1 in the big section and then the 45 in the second section. If it's just $20, you'd put 20 in the big section and then your 00 in the small section. That's what that's for. If you make a deposit, that means you've deposited money into your account. That's your money and you're putting it in your bank account. And you add that in, and every time you make a new transaction, whether you've made a payment or whether you have received a deposit, either way, you need to adjust your balance. You always need to show your balance. It's very important. All right, now when you go to balance your checkbook, When I was younger, it was once a month. The bank would send you this big, huge thing full of all these papers that showed all the checks you wrote and all the deposits you made and every little tiny thing. It was like they cut down a whole forest for one person to send them their stuff. Anyway, that was way before we had internet and online banking and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, they'd send it to you, and what you'd have to do is you'd have to look at it, get your checkbook open, and most people did this once a month. Now, since I do online banking, I do it at least once a week, sometimes even more than that. So you go in there, and if you wrote a check or you just made a deposit and the bank does not show that it's cleared yet by the time they send the statements, well, obviously your amount that you have will not line up with what the bank has. So the way to balance your checkbook to make sure that it does add up to what the bank has is you look at your balance that you show, and then you look at the ending balance that the bank shows. Make sure you put in your interest. If you earned interest, sometimes you do, you would add that into your check register up there, and it would be a payment amount, so you would add it into your balance. So you're going to take your balance and you're going to say, okay, here's all the things that's cleared the bank. So check 150, so you'd go up to your check register and you'd put a check mark beside check 150. 151, check mark it. Deposit on 11/8, check mark. Deposit on 11/19, check mark. Deposit on 11/30, check mark. I'm at the bottom of page 46 if you don't know. So anything that's come through that the bank says, yeah, we got it, we took it out of your account or we added it in or whatever, check mark it. When you're done check marking everything, you look at your check register and you say, ooh, they don't have that deposit and they don't have that check yet. So here's what that means. The bank does not know that you have spent money if it hasn't come through the bank yet. Maybe you wrote a check or you used your card somewhere and it hasn't gone through. The bank doesn't know that. So the bank shows that you still have that money in your account. Your register shows that you've taken it out and you don't. Or if it's a deposit, you went today and you deposited your check you got from babysitting, and it went into the bank, but the bank they've not put it into your account just yet. Well, you look at your check register and go, wow, I've got more money or whatever. Well, they don't show that you have that yet. So a lot of times, the bank, they haven't caught up to where your register is. And in order to balance that, this is the way I do it. There's several different ways you can do it, but this is the way I do it. So you take your balance that you show and you check mark everything that the bank says that has cleared, and you look to see if anything is left. You say, okay, well, there's a deposit that they don't have yet, but it's in my register, but it hasn't deposited yet. You say, okay, well, then you are going to, on a calculator, you're going to put in whatever your balance is that you show, and you're going to subtract that deposit. Because remember, the bank doesn't think you have that. You know you do, but the bank hasn't had it. They don't have it yet. So subtract that deposit. And then any checks or any payments that you've made that the bank has not cleared yet, you need to add that in to that. And once you've subtracted all your deposits that have not made it through the bank, and you've added in all the checks that haven't made it through the bank, then your final total on your calculator should total what the ending balance is on your statement. If it's off $1 or a penny or $20 or whatever it is, you need to figure out why. And a lot of times it's because you've made an error. That's my case, and I'd have to go back in and find, oh, that was 10 cents, not 20 cents or whatever. And I have to go back and fix it and recalculate everything. So I hope I didn't make that unclear to you. And if you still don't understand, if it's still not clear, because this is kind of a hard concept to follow, but it's very important. If you're still not clear on it, send me a note, and I will do something to make it more clear for you. So anyway, okay, so that kind of clears up what you do today. So go ahead and do worksheet 2.5. And let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 11. I think I'm going to make this page worth 10 points. And I'm not going to grade the back, the checkbook register, but I want to make sure that you know that. Okay, so anyway, so I'm just going to grade the front page, but I'm going to make it worth 11 points. Okay, all right, that is all for today.